Hello, good afternoon. Whoa, good afternoon. Welcome to Growth Habits with Ngozi. My name, of course, is Ngozi, and I'm your personal guide on the journey of growth. So, who is here with me this wonderful afternoon, this Tuesday afternoon? We're here every Tuesday on Facebook Live, 12 noon, but we're going to change that time. There'll be an announcement later on. So, wow, we're here for our 29th session, I believe. Yes, 29th. Wow. So, we started this journey in February and we have been going steady. Time, no, coming up here every Tuesday, sharing with each other, learning from each other. So, welcome once again. Welcome. If you're here, please let me know that you are here and let me know where you're joining me from. Um, and let me know maybe a little bit how was your weekend, because today is just Tuesday. The weekend was not that long ago. So share with me how your weekend was. What did you do? Any new experiences, anything new. And if you're joining on the replay, you're watching this on the replay, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. I don't take it for granted that you join me on this program, both on the live and those that join on the replay. I don't take it for granted. I'm so glad to have you. I'm always excited to come up and to share with us. I'm always excited to see that we are learning together. I'm always excited when I get feedback, especially when I get feedback. When people get back to me and, say one thing or the other on what they learned or something that touched them or spoke to them from whatever we discussed that day. It really, really, really gets me excited. And that is the reason truly why I do this. It's because I love to see people growing. I love to see people stepping out of their comfort zones and just doing something a little different, not being stuck in your ways, not being, fixed at a point, but allowing yourself to grow, allowing yourself to just step forward, allowing yourself to do the needful, So, welcome once again. Welcome once again. If you're here, do let me know. Do let me know that you're here with me. Growth Habits with Ngozi every Tuesday, right here on Facebook. Okay, as is our normal thing, we usually do a recap. So I will do a recap of the emotional intelligence series that we started some weeks back. And it's been a real journey. This series has been a real journey. It's brought up a whole lot for me personally and for so many people. It's made us sit back and reassess. It's made us sit back and think. It's made us sit back and be in our emotions just a little, just a little bit. You don't have to wallow in your emotions, but you do have to recognize them and you do have to understand your emotions. So we started with session 22 and we talked about emotional intelligence. We talked about emotional growth and we followed up on the aspect of emotional intelligence as a way to grow your emotions, as a way to experience growth in every facet of life. So we gave a general definition of emotional intelligence, and we said that it is your ability to recognize, is your ability to interpret, is your ability to regulate your own emotions, and also, by extension, the emotions of others. Because we can't tell people what to feel, but we can, to an extent, influence their reactions. So that was the session 22. We talked about emotional intelligence, a general introduction. And we agree that there are different aspects to emotional intelligence. And in the sessions following, we began to look at all those different aspects of emotional intelligence. In session 23, we talked about self-awareness. That's the actual being aware of your emotions, being aware, recognizing and understanding who you are, recognizing and understanding what you feel, recognizing and understanding why you feel what you feel. Good afternoon, Mr. Emo. I'm so glad to have you here this afternoon. How is everything? How is your family? How was your weekend? I trust you had an awesome weekend, and thank you once again for joining me. So, I was giving the recap, and I said that the session 23, we talked about self-awareness, and that is basically your ability to recognize and understand your own emotions, your own actions, your reactions, recognizing, the different ways that you feel and the different ways that you react to things. That is self-awareness, and it takes some introspection for you to really be self-aware. It takes you sitting with yourself, which is so hard for many of us to do. Just sit with our thoughts, sit with our feelings, and try to understand them. Okay, so session 24, we spoke about self-regulation. Okay, and this now has to do with monitoring those feelings that you have now explored, monitoring them, and to an extent controlling them. Oh, okay, awesome. You had a very good weekend, Mr. Emwa. Greetings. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, I was talking about self-regulation, which was what we discussed in session 24. And this goes beyond just knowing your emotions and goes to the extent of basically controlling those emotions, being able to monitor and also manage those emotions, being able to manage your thoughts, being able to manage your behavior. And this happens because you have understood you. You've understood why you react the way you react. It's one thing to feel an emotion, and it's another thing to react based on that emotion. And it's a completely different experience to know why you react the way you do. So that was self-regulation. In session 25, we talked about empathy. Now, empathy is not dealing with your own emotions now, but the emotions of others. Being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes, to understand how they're feeling, to feel with them, and to possibly do something about it. Because it's not just enough to feel for people. It's not just enough to say, oh, this person is going through so and so, and I understand how they're feeling. What are you doing about it? So empathy has to do with being able to not just feel other people's emotions, but if possible, to step in to that situation and help them out if you can, if it is possible for you to help them out. So that is what empathy has to do with. And in session 26, we talked about social skills. And social skills basically is our ability to interact with others. There are people that, maybe like me, who are not social butterflies. We are not the ones that are out there. We are not the ones that once we meet someone for the first time, we become best of friends. But, we need to be able to interact with people. We need to be able to relate with our fellow human beings. Oh, Bina, welcome. It's been a while. How are you and how's your family? I'm so glad you joined me this afternoon. Wow. Okay. So I was giving the recap, and I was talking about our 26th session that had to do with social skills. And it's just our being able to interact with people, to build relationships with people. because it's not enough to know people. I know some that are they're social butterflies. They know everybody in the whole world, but they don't have relationships with these people. They just know them. So social skills has to do with our ability to build relationships with people, to be able to connect with people on a deeper level, not just on a surface level. All right, so that was session 26. All right, our 27th session, we talked about motivation. And we talked, it was more about self motivation, not the motivation that comes from outside, that comes from someone else, motivation that's external. But this is motivation that's internal, intrinsic from your inside. What is that passion that you have? What is that thing that makes you wake up every morning? That thing that makes you, even when things are not going the best that they could, you're still able to stand. You're still able to pick yourself up. That is internal motivation. That is intrinsic motivation. And that is essential for you to experience or to walk in emotional intelligence and for you to experience emotional growth. Is beyond the rewards, is beyond the fame. I mentioned that I see recently in interview questions for jobs, they will ask you something that motivated you aside from the salary. So what is that thing aside from the rewards that you get that motivates you, that keeps you going? Another opportunity to dig deep and figure out, because you do need to know these things for you to be able to navigate the area of emotions, the area of emotional intelligence. You need to understand what motivates you intrinsically, not maybe from outside. Okay, so in our 28th, right? Yes, session 28th, we talked about emotional integrity. That was our last session last week. We talked about emotional integrity. And we agreed that emotional integrity is the ability to acknowledge your true feelings. Your true feelings, to tell yourself the truth about what you're feeling. This does not, well, let me say that most times, most of us, we're not really very free with our feelings, first of all. And then secondly, we are not true to our feelings. For example, how many of us will, a relation, a friend, I'm not talking about a stranger asking you now, but a friend or a relation asks you, how are you? And you say, fine. That is most of us. Even though you are not fine, even though maybe something is really, really wrong, but you just say fine. Now, in saying fine, we could say that is you're speaking in faith that you will be fine. Yes, possibly. But also, when we say that fine and we're not truly fine, and it's not even that we are truly speaking in faith, we're just lying to ourselves. And we're even also saying that God is not able to help us. That's why we can't even tell him how we truly feel. So it's essential for us as human beings to be able to acknowledge our true feelings without wallowing in them. Without wallowing in those feelings, we have to be able to know that this is really how I'm feeling. This is really what I want. This is really what I desire. And being able to go through that without subjecting those feelings, those emotions, those desires, those wants to societal, the lens of society, without having to judge it through the lens of society. Because truly your feelings are valid. What you feel is what you feel. Whether the next person thinks what you feel is right or not, what you feel is what you feel. And for you to truly deal with that feeling, you have to acknowledge it. So that was emotional integrity, being 100% honest with yourself, acknowledging your feelings. And then once you acknowledge them, you can walk through them. You can now do the needful and walk through those emotions. All right. So today we told us last week that today was going to be a question and answer session, because this will be for now the end of the emotional intelligence series. Maybe in the future we might bring it back up, but for now this will be the end. And we told us last week that our next series will be spiritual growth, which is starting in August. All right, so today is supposed to be a question and answer session, and I had requested for some questions. I got a few, but I had actually expected much more. And the few that I got were, will I say, kind of, they're a bit generic questions, but I'll go ahead and attempt to answer them, while expecting us who are watching live to also share your own questions. Maybe as I'm talking, some questions will come to mind. So please go ahead and share them. So let me read. Welcome, Satux. I'm glad to have you. Welcome. Okay, so the first question I got says, how can I test my emotional intelligence? Okay, so there are ways you can actually, the emotional intelligence tests that are available online that you can do. So that is one way to test your emotional intelligence. You can go online, search emotional intelligence tests. Please search for the free ones. I don't know if we really want to pay, but there are free ones that are available that you can just go online, Google it, find it, and then take the test. They will ask you a series of questions, and by your responses to those questions, it will be able to assess your emotional intelligence quotient, as it is called. One of the most common, I want to say, I think is one of the most common tests of emotional intelligence is called 6 seconds. So you can go online, Google 6 seconds, and take that test and be able to assess your level of emotional intelligence. This test is actually quite accurate if you answer truthfully. If you answer the questions truthfully and honestly, it can give you a good assessment of your emotional intelligence quotient. But let's assume you're not, into all these, you don't want to take any test, you don't want all that drama. You can assess yourself truly to know how emotionally intelligent you are. And one of the ways is ask yourself, how well do I think I know myself? It sounds funny, and it sounds somehow to say, I should be the one, I should know myself very well. It's me now we're talking about. But I find that most of us, we truly do not know ourselves very well, because we are lying to ourselves, not because of any other thing, but because we're not being truly honest, we're not expressing, we're not walking in emotional integrity. So one of the quickest ways to assess your own emotional intelligence quotient is to ask yourself that question. How well do I think I know myself? How well do I think I know myself? And even as you're asking yourself, ask others, so that you can do a compare and contrast. If you sit and you assess yourself, this is how well I know myself, this is how I react to situations, this is how I feel in these situations, this is how, write out all those things. Then have another person also assess you. Ask somebody trusted, please, and somebody that will give you honest feedback. Ask someone else to also tell you what they think about you. The same questions basically you asked yourself, have another person answer those same questions, and give the person the freedom to be honest. Very important for this feedback, because if the person is not completely honest and does not tell you the truth, or feels unable to tell you the truth, the whole aim is truly defeated. So ensure that it's someone that would be free to tell you the truth and the honest truth. But by the time you get these two responses, your own and the person's own, and you look at them and you do a compare and contrast, you can see where you fall emotionally. You'll be able to assess your emotional intelligence quotient. The kind of questions you can ask yourself when doing this assessment, because you're trying to figure out how well you know yourself. You're trying to figure out how empathetic you are. You're trying to figure out, do you have good social skills? You're trying to assess yourself whether your emotions are under your control or are your emotions controlling you. So you have to ask yourself questions dealing with how you react to things. Am I quick to anger? Do I make friends easily? Things like that. Those are the kind of questions you need to ask yourself so that you can have an assessment or an idea of your emotional intelligence quotient. All right. Also, in doing this assessment, I think this is basically the only other way, except from taking those tests, that you can assess your emotional intelligence quotient. So in doing that test, you also have to ask yourself situations that you have reacted negatively. Why did you react negatively? Are those situations more? The occasions where you react negatively, are they more? Or the times you react positively, are they the ones that's more? These are the things you will ask yourself. These are the areas you will look at. You'll also have to ask yourself, if I reacted negatively to a particular situation, why? You see, this part is the very key. It's very key. It's very important because it's in the why. It's actually in the answer to that question, why, that we can truly know ourselves. So it's not just to ask yourself, oh, did I have negative reactions? Yes. Are the negative reactions more than the positive reactions? Yes or no? It's the why. Why did I react negatively to that situation, that particular situation? Why did I react positively? So it's the answer to the why that is important. That is what is key. So ensure that you get that answer. Ensure that you get that answer. All right, I think I have answered that question to the best of my ability. Nneka Biaye, thank you for joining me. Welcome. Welcome. I trust you're having a good afternoon. I trust you're having an awesome day. Okay. Oh, see, I needed to apologize from the beginning. I skipped it. I did not put up a reminder. Usually I put up a post on reminding us that this session will take place today, but somehow I can't, as I'm here, I can't explain why I did not put up that reminder. So my apologies for that. All right. My Penny, welcome. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. This is our question and answer session for the emotional intelligence series. Okay, the second question I got, let me just pull it up. Okay, the question says, how can you increase your emotional intelligence? Okay, because emotional intelligence is actually a learned skill. It's something you can learn. It's something you can practice. So it means it's something you can improve on. You can improve on your emotional intelligence. And there are a number of things that you can do that will help you improve on your emotional intelligence. And one of I think it's actually the easiest, is to have a journal and to write things down. When we journal, when we write things down, we have a journal and we are writing things down, it allows us to express our emotions, and we get to express it however we want, because nobody probably will ever see that journal. It's not something you're going to share with anyone. It's for you and you alone. So you are more real in that time, in that situation where you're writing things inside your journal. So one of the, I think, simplest and maybe even most effective ways to increase your emotional intelligence actually to journal. Write things down. I'm feeling sad. I woke up this morning and I'm feeling sad. I pick up my journal and I begin to write, why am I sad? What is making me sad? What is it about today that's making me sad? You'll find that by the time you write for a few minutes, first of all, you will feel better. Definitely you will feel better. But in reviewing what you wrote that day, maybe tomorrow, the next day, or whatever, you will have an insight into what you feel and why you feel what you feel. So you can see that this is I believe it's one of the most effective ways to truly get a hold on your emotional intelligence. It's one of the ways to help you increase your emotional intelligence, because remember, it's about acknowledging your feelings, about knowing your feelings, why you feel what you feel. Okay, so writing a journal. Another thing that can help you improve or increase on your emotional intelligence is meditation. Meditation. Both meditation on scripture and just meditation generally. It's because the process of meditation calms you down. One, it brings you to a place of stillness. It brings you to a place where every other thing basically is cut off? Because in the place of meditation, you're not thinking about too many things. You're not. You're not thinking about too many things. You're probably thinking about one thing. So if you're meditating, for example, on scripture, you're not thinking about all the 1,001 things happening around you. You're thinking about that scripture that you're looking at that moment. And in the process of that, one thought leads to the other. One thought leads to the other. And it begins to build. So meditation is a way to help you improve or increase your emotional intelligence, because one, truly you are still. Two, your thoughts are not clouded. There's not too much noise on your inside. You're calm and you're quiet. In that time and in that space, you're able to feel and understand things that ordinarily you wouldn't. You're able to feel and understand things that ordinarily you wouldn't. So I recommend meditation so highly. Both meditating on scripture and just meditating on life generally. This is not you being a worrywart, worrying about everything. No, this is you just being still and tuning in to the inside, to what is inside and not what is outside. So please meditate. It helps. It will help your emotional intelligence 110%. Even if all you're meditating on is scripture, best, because that sets you up. That sets you up to be the best you. Honestly, if you can see how I'm getting excited, I can see how my face has brightened up. I've become excited because I'm talking about meditating on scriptures. Because that exercise sets you up to do great things. Honestly, words are failing me right now, but when you take out time and just sit with, even if it's one verse of scripture, it doesn't have to be a whole lot. Even if it's just one verse of scripture, one line, even if it's one word that you saw in one scripture, and you sit with it and you marinate that word and you allow that word to speak to you, and you don't overthink it. No, you're not overthinking the word. You're just allowing it to speak to you, allowing your thoughts to ponder on it. I can't even tell you. I can't tell you all the benefits that brings. But one, your mind is clear. Your mind is clear. You understand things that you're like, how did I understand this? Where did this understanding come from? but it comes from meditating and meditating on the word. And even just, I hear people say I was thinking about my life, and I'm like, what did you get from thinking about your life? After thinking about your life, what did you come up with? Most times, nothing, because all you did was worry. All you did in that process of thinking about your life was worry. You came up with no solutions. Oh, Joy, welcome. Welcome. Good afternoon to you. Thank you. She said I look good. Thank you very much. So, thinking about your life is not the same as meditating. It's not. It's not the same at all. Thinking about your life is giving yourself headache, giving yourself high blood pressure. But meditating about life is you allowing your head, allowing your space to experience quiet. Oh, peace, wonderful. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you joined me this afternoon. Welcome, ma. So it's you in the place of calm, in the place of quietness, in the place of stillness. You see, in that place, that is where your true emotions come out. That is where your true you comes out. Not in the time of, oh, what will I do? What will I do? Most time, maybe people are different, but for me, in that time of what do I do? What do I do? Oh, problem. I don't come up with any solutions. I don't come up with any solutions because my head is not in the right place. But when you calm down, and for me, I always give example with myself. I don't meditate on anything except scripture. That is where I focus my meditation because that is where I get my answers. That is where I get my solutions. So I find a word and I sit with it and I say it over and over to myself. I repeat it over and over to myself. I keep saying it. And in the process of saying that word, other ideas come. I'm like, oh, was that what you were talking about? Is that what this means? Then I take up on that thought and it continues. And by the time I come out, honestly, even if my problem is not solved, at least I have the next step. I might not have, the very, all the steps that gets to the end. But as I come out from that session of meditation, at least I know the next step, if nothing else. And even if I don't know the next step, I am okay. I'm okay with it. So meditate. Take out time. There's another thing. Oh, Michael of Fame, thank you. Welcome. Thank you. He said, I'm trying. God will help me, and he's helping me to keep up the good work. Okay, there's another thing that works for me, because you see, the whole essence of emotional intelligence is not just to know your emotions, but to have a reasonable control over your emotions. And that is breathing. This sounds, who does not breathe? Everybody breathes. It's normal. It's automatic. But I'm not talking about this normal in and out. I mean that in heated situations, in times we are confused, just take a deep breath. It sounds so basic. What are you talking about? Deep breath. It works like magic. Take a deep breath in and then let it out slowly. That 1 second action calms your emotions. So for example, you're, in the office and your colleague is upsetting you, they're doing things that are just wrong. Stop for a second. Take a deep breath in and breathe out. That 1 second will determine how you react to that situation. That 1 second of breathing in and out, first of all, it calms you down. Those heated responses that were in your head initially, they disappear. They begin to disappear as you take that deep breath. If they were like 5 heated responses, give them back responses that came to your mind. By the time you take that deep breath and release it, 2 or 3 of those responses are gone. So take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. it will help you gain control of your emotions. So by the time you now react to that situation, you're reacting in calm. You're reacting with sense. You're reacting with sense. You're not reacting from the emotions of whatever the person did or whatever activity that took place at that time. So these are just basic ways that can help you improve your emotional intelligence. Of course, trying to be more social, talk to people, establish connections with people is another thing that can help you improve your emotional intelligence overall. Be friendlier, be more empathetic to people's feelings. Try to put yourself in people's shoes. That can solve almost 50% of the problems we have with people if we can put ourselves in people's shoes. I don't know if anybody has any questions. If you have any, please still go ahead and put them in while I deal with the last question I received. I think this was more a practical question. Yes, okay. The person said, my colleague took all the credit for a job we worked on together. In fact, I did most of the work and allowed her to make the presentation to help her be more comfortable and more confident. But during the presentation, she basically took all the credit as if I did nothing. How should I handle this situation? Now, I want to believe this has already happened. I don't want to believe this. Well, it's possible. It could be something that just happened and the person has not done anything yet about it. Now, this is a situation that can happen to any of us. It has happened to many of us, I'm sure. And there are several ways you can handle it, but I suggest that the first thing you do is not to react immediately. At that time, because she has done the presentation, she has already given the wrong impression, and probably the meeting is over. Probably the meeting where these things happened is over. So reacting or trying to deal with it at that time probably wouldn't help you. So the best thing is to first calm down. Don't react at that time. Don't have the discussion with the person, because definitely you will have to have a discussion with that person. You will have to have that discussion. Do not sweep it under the carpet. If you do that, it will repeat, and you don't want it to repeat. So don't have the discussion at that time, but definitely do have the discussion. Possibly later in the day, possibly the next day, but calm yourself down and then call the person and have the discussion. And in having this discussion, you need to ask that person why he or she did what they did. You must ask that question. Why? Oh no, you can even present it like, oh, I noticed that during the presentation you kept saying I instead of we. Oh, I noticed that during the presentation, when offering up the solutions that we came up with, you basically mentioned only your own solutions. Why? May I ask why? Don't be confrontational, because once you come up confrontationally, the person will also put on their own confrontation armor, and it will now be an exchange, which is not what you want. So ask those questions when you are calm. And another thing about asking questions or having confrontations when you are calm is that your brain works faster. Your brain works better. Have you been in a situation where, in the heat of an argument, you didn't know what to say, and so you said nothing, or maybe the response you gave did not carry the weight you wanted it to, and you now go back and you're like, immediately you step away from that situation, all the responses you should have given begin to come. They just be popping into your head. You see, if you had just taken a pause first, these responses that came later would have come. So don't confront the person immediately. Do not. Calm yourself down and then confront the person. The aim of this confrontation is not to get angry, is not to attack. That is not the aim. The aim is to have a conversation that will right or correct the situation. That is the aim. Okay, so do have that discussion. And then, if possible, let this discussion be private. It shouldn't be where, others are, so that the person is not tempted to act out. You know how human beings can be. Oh, you're confronting me. They will now want to show that they are better or whatever. Try, if possible, let this discussion, I don't want to be calling it confrontation. Let this discussion happen privately between the two of you. Now, the outcome of this discussion will determine what happens next. So as you talk to the person and you try to find out, why did you do what you did? Why did you take all the credit for a work or a job that both of us did? If the person is like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't even realize or something, and they're genuine about it, they're genuine, you can say, yes, this person is being truthful to me. Then, you can now talk about, so I have, they've offered an apology. All right. Thank you. I understand. So we are going to remedy this situation. I will do an email giving like a recap of the presentation and then bring in my own ideas into that email. So that is one way, because, this is because I'm saying this because it's an official thing this person is talking about. It's not like a personal situation. It's a work-related incident. So once you have talked to the person and you have gotten their response, if they're apologetic, if they feel, oh my God, I didn't realize what I did, and they're truly genuine about it, then it's okay. I will remedy it. You can even ask the person for solutions, how you can remedy it. But one thing you can do is just to send an email recapping that presentation, recapping what you people did, and in your email, bring up more of your own contributions. That way, they've heard her own by the presentation. Now they're hearing your own side in the email that you sent. That is one way to get it done. But if you talk to the person and the person is like, I don't know what you're talking about, and they are not being realistic, they're not being real, they are not feeling, they're not sorry for what they did, they're not apologetic about what they did, then you no longer owe them an explanation. You don't owe them anything at that point anymore. You have done what you're supposed to do by speaking with them. Do go ahead and escalate. You can also still do an email, but this email will not be sounding as friendly as the first one that I talked about. The first one would be quite a friendly, bringing up both your contributions, but highlighting yours so that yours is seen. But this second email you might send is going to be basically just showcasing your own contributions. You've given the person the opportunity to say, I'm sorry, and let's work together and find a solution, and they didn't take it. So you go ahead and remedy it. Another thing you could do is at the very next opportunity, to talk about that project, if the opportunity comes up again, go ahead and make it about you without being vindictive. Mention, or if there's any other meeting, honestly, any other opportunity that there's a meeting in the office and the opportunity comes up, mention your contributions. Find a way to put it in there, because you must get the credit for your work. If, it's possible, in some places, is actually, you might have a boss or a supervisor that understands, that is approachable. You can approach them and explain. After you have talked to your colleague, after you have talked to your colleague and they are not ready to work with you to remedy the situation, you can talk to a supervisor and explain what happened. And of course, you have, in this situation, if you're talking to a supervisor, you actually have to prove your contributions. So you're going to be ready to say, what you know at that point. You have to be ready with your information, with everything, so that you can put it right. Okay, so, okay, that was the last. I hope I handled every aspect of that question. That was the last question that I received ahead of time. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions you may have for me this afternoon about any aspect of emotional intelligence that we have spoken about: self-management, self-awareness, empathy, social skills, emotional integrity, any of them. If you have any questions, please put them in the comment section. While I'm waiting for the questions, let me give us a little bit of information going forward. Going forward I don't know for how long it will be. So from the next session, that is in August, the first session in August, when we're going into our spiritual growth series, these live sessions would take place by 2 p.m. 2 p.m., not 12 noon. 2 p.m. There are many reasons for this, and I don't really want to get into all the specific reasons, but as I explained to us, I'm bringing people to come and speak to us about spiritual growth. So I have to work with their time. Most of them, not all. It's just so that there's no clashes as much as possible. Maybe one of the sessions might be at a different time, but I will confirm that later. For now, the sessions for August will be by 2 p.m. Nigerian time. I think I need to make that clear so that we don't think it's another time zone. So 2 p.m. Nigerian time, starting from next week Tuesday, 2 p.m. Nigerian time for Growth Habits, right here on Facebook Live. So I think that is the information that I have for us. I will bring out the flyers. I already have 3 people lined up that will speak to us on spiritual growth. Still working on the 4th person. Hopefully it will come out soon, but let's see. So we already have 3 people lined up that are going to be talking to us on spiritual growth, which for me is very important and very key. All these other aspects of growth we have been talking about, this ties them all together. So next month is for spiritual growth. If it will extend beyond next month, I will still let us know. For now, it's just the month of August, spiritual growth. We have 3 people already lined up to come and speak to us. If we get the 4th person concluded, then it means we have 4 guests that will speak to us on spiritual growth. So any questions from anyone on any aspect of emotional, okay, I'm just checking the time, emotional intelligence, emotional growth. Any questions from anyone else? Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. I'm not seeing any questions. So I want to believe that we have no other questions to ask. If you still, maybe later on the question comes to you, you can still put it in the comments and I will definitely answer it. I will definitely answer the question. when I see it. So once again, thank you all so much for coming out today. Thank you for joining me once again on Growth Habits with Ngozi. It's always a pleasure to share with us. It's always a pleasure having this time to discuss, having this time to learn, having this time to grow. I appreciate each and every one that joins these sessions, or also the ones that watch the replay, because I know that the time might not be convenient for some people, especially those that are at work. So they watch the replays. And I am truly, truly grateful for the opportunity to share with each and every one of us every day. And I appreciate everyone that shows up, everyone that connects in one way or the other. Please remember to like our page, join our Facebook group, the Growth Habits Facebook group. Please join. The link to our YouTube channel is also here. And I think it should be showing in this live. I believe it's showing. So please go right ahead and join that YouTube, subscribe to that YouTube channel. All these sessions are posted there afterwards. So like at the end of this session, I would post this question and answer session on the YouTube channel. So please do subscribe. Engage with us in all our social media handles: Instagram, Growth Habits with Ngozi; Facebook, Growth Habits with Ngozi; YouTube, Growth Habits with Ngozi; TikTok, Growth Habits with Ngozi. Engage with us in all our social media handles. We are growing this brand, and we are going places. We're going places, and I want to go with each and every one of us. I want to join hands with us and make this journey a very enjoyable one. All right, so thank you for joining me once again, and have a good day. Have a good rest of the day, and see you next week, Tuesday by 2 p.m. Nigerian time. Bye.